Peace and blessings, beautiful people. It is Friday and I am back. Did you miss me? I missed you guys, and I'm so happy to be back. So it's Friday. What are we doing? Of course, we're doing Free Game Friday. So let's get into it. So, as promised, as the continuation to fire from last Free Game Friday, let's talk about smoke. So, I have a couple of notes here because I didn't want to miss any of this awesomeness that I discovered in learning more about smoke. But let's get to it. So, we've all heard the phrase, you don't want this smoke, or I want all the smoke, all that good stuff. Well, maybe we should stop saying that we want it, because of the two, if you have to have fire or smoke, we should be leaning towards the fire instead of the smoke. So you may have also heard the phrase, where there's smoke, there's a fire, but honestly, you don't always need fire in order to have smoke. There are things like smoke machines now, and maybe you've even heard this phrase, smoke and mirrors. So you don't always actually need fire anymore, or the entire time, to have smoke. So I wanted to find out exactly what is smoke, and what I discovered is like startling. So how about all smoke? Whether this is like cigarette smoke, forest fire smoke, all smoke. All smoke contains carbon monoxide, the stuff that can kill you, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and particulate matter, also known as soot. So when you're burning something, all of it may not be consumed by the fire. So that residue, that soot, that black stuff that you tend to see on the walls or whatever was exposed to fire, that's soot. So all smoke has that. Even when you smoke your food, all smoke contains that. On top of that, it can also contain aldehydes, acid gases, sulfur dioxide, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, benzene, toluene, styrenes, metals, and dioxins. And just so that you know, without going into all of those, pretty much everything that I said that it can also contain are all cancer causing agents, are all deadly in some shape, form, or fashion. So, just off the top, can you understand why I might say you don't want the smoke? We don't want the smoke. All that. It can kill you. So, in doing a little bit more research, I also wanted to find out what smoke does to us. So, it's not necessarily the fire that kills people, it's usually smoke inhalation. And so it's breathing in all this stuff that I just said, and it does terrible things inside of your lungs. It shortens your breathing capacity. It can actually burn and scar inside of your lung tissue. Even if the smoke itself wasn't hot when you inhaled it, it comes inside it and then it just tears up your bronchioles and your lungs, which is what the smaller parts of your lung are. They're the bronchioles. So you could be exposed to smoke and die from the exposure to the smoke, and be exposed to fire and not be damaged at all if you're not physically burned. So again, the invitation is to think about, why are we so drawn to the smoke? Well, when it comes to food, it does impart an interesting flavor. But what we're getting is all the stuff I just read off to you. And it also depends on how long it's exposed to the meat. It's how long it's exposed to the vegetable or whatever, but you're still getting the residue of whatever it is that you burned in order to get the smoke. So if you used hickory, if you used a certain type of wood, you're getting the deposits from that broken down wood into the flesh, into the food. I know. I'm not trying to be a party pooper or anything, but I love knowing all the things, and I just had to share this with you all. Like, do we really want the smoke? Have you ever been around a smoker? It is hard to get that scent, even if you weren't the one that smoked. Even if you weren't the one that smoked, it still gets onto you. And you have to do all this stuff. You have to wash your hair. You got to try to get it out of your clothes. And the only way to really do that is to expose it to the air. And we kind of get confused about, well, why are things not kind of going the way? You got somebody else's residue, you got somebody else's smoke on you. That's the issue. And we have to air it out. We have to get exposed in order for those things to eventually work their way out of our fibers, the fibers of our personal being, our spiritual being, our material being. It is a process. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, like I said at the beginning, was smoke and mirrors. And where that comes from is being a magician, that they would use smoke and mirrors to trick people or to create a diversion so that you don't see what they're really doing over here. You're too mystified and interested in the smoke that's going on over here. And so it's used to cover things up. It's another way of hiding stuff. And you think one thing is going on and something completely different is happening, but you're focused on the smoke. And so, do we want to be distracted? Do we want to be entertained by something going on over here that's a diversion? Or do we want to deal with the real thing? Do we want fire? Do we want transformation? Because that's what happens with fire. There's a refinement process there. And I talked about this on the last Free Game Friday, so I won't go into details about that here. But what we're wanting, if we want transformation, is fire, not the smoke. So if this was enlightening for you and you're like, maybe I don't need the smoke, I need some fire. I also talked about some ways of looking into that and seeing how you can spark your fire or keep your fire ignited in last time's free game. So today's free game is, let's not be about the smoke. Let's be about the fire. I hope that you found this useful. You can always hit me up on social media. I'm on Instagram as Planted Vibing with CRB. And I'm on Facebook as well under Planted Vibes. And you can always comment here. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, I'm so glad to be back. And I will see you next time. Peace.